Hello, my name's Chimichanga.
Hey everyone, it's Oscar Gonzalez here,
And Joshua Gonzalez here.
and you are about to listen to our second episode of our podcast, Pick Up Your Game.
As we spoke about last time, I bought a car. I came up with a pickup idea, but didn't act on it at all. I pretty much just kept going about my life without doing anything. I think that was purely because of the fact that we were at university. So Oscar and I were just focused on our studies. And that's about it. Oscar was studying engineering and finance, a double degree, and I was studying engineering and economics, also a double degree. So Oscar and I have some thoughts about university, and I enjoyed it. I thought it was a lot of fun. Did you? What do you think of uni?
Look, I did enjoy it, but overall, as a whole picture, I wouldn't say that uni was something. It wasn't for me. I felt like it was just a bit restrictive, as opposed to running your own business. You have a bit more freedom to choose what you'd like to do, whereas at university, you have to follow the curriculum. So I felt a bit restricted. So for me, uni wasn't something I loved, but I did get through, and I did finish with an engineering and finance degree.
Yeah, so absolutely. University is great, and I think it's really good. It's really good, especially if you already know what you want to do. So if you want to become an engineer, you can go ahead and study engineering, or if you want to be a lawyer, you can go ahead and study law. For myself, I didn't really know what I wanted to do, and so I think I just got into a course just for the sake of getting into it. I think I would have rather spend a few years just exploring and just trying different things out, both in and outside of university, to see what I did like. So that was my sort of experience with university, and I think it kind of just built up within Oscar and I, to a point that I think one day we came home super disappointed with the work at university. To the point that I think one day I came home, and it might have been Oscar that came home. It's probably both of us that we came home complaining about the uni experience and about the university work. And it wasn't until then that I was like, nah, I've had enough of this. I'm dropping out. I'm done. I'm sick of this. I'm going to do something else. And I remember I came home saying that, and our parents were like, well, what are you going to do? If you're not going to be studying at uni, what are you going to be doing? And at that point I remembered, hey, I've got this business idea of driving people's cars. So I was like, hey, I've got to start this car business. And at that point, that was when I think our parents said to me, well, why don't you just drop one degree, finish one of the two, and go from there. So I decided to drop engineering, and whilst I did that, I made myself a goal, which was to get this car business, up and running in about a year's time, I said.
So Josh was going to plan to start this business in 1 year, but our dad was actually came up to Josh and was like, how about you just start this business with what you have and try to get it going by the end of the year? So this was probably about a time frame of about 3 months, I would say. So in about 3 months, Dad was just like, how about you just use what you can and start?
I think my initial intention was, especially with a lot of people who haven't started a business before, you want to make it this big thing. You want to have a huge launch, you want to have employees, you want to have an accountant, the lawyer, and you just want to be at the top, and you want to make it this big thing, which was my initial thoughts, which is why I said I gave myself a year. I was like, hey, I'm going to give myself a year so I can set it up properly. But it was my dad that was like, why don't you just do with what you've got and just started on the side, which was probably good advice for someone that has never, good advice to someone that had never started a business before, like myself. I think it's really good to just deal with what you've got and try not to make it such a huge, big thing.
And just start.
And just start, that's right.
So what Josh did was he created a checklist, okay? And then on this checklist, I remember he would have on his desk every day and he'd look at it and he'd just try to get one thing off. So it could be like, get a phone number for the business, get a website for the business, sort out insurance. What else was on the checklist?
So there was a few things that I put on this checklist. Just keep in mind, I might mention now that at this point, Oscar actually wasn't involved in the business at all. So it was just going to supposedly be my business, Josh's little business that I was going to be doing. And so I sat down and I thought, well, what do I need for this business? Or I thought to myself, to have a business, what do I need? And that's when I created the checklist that Oscar's talking about. The right ABN, insurance, a Facebook group, a Facebook page, everything that I could think about. The funny thing was that I knew absolutely nothing about business. I don't know why I thought I did, but I knew nothing. To the point that I do remember one day I came home and said to my old man, I said, if someone gives me their credit card details, how do I take money out of it? And he just looked at me and he's like, I don't know, go work it out. And I just find it funny that I didn't even know how to take payment. If you would have given me your card number, the expiry date, and the CVC, I couldn't even take money out of it. That's how little I knew about business. And so I was starting from scratch, from absolute rock bottom, not knowing nothing.
So the thing to keep in mind here is when Josh was going through all this, he was actually just using online resources to find his answers. So for a website, for example, he just followed a series of online YouTube videos to create the website. He didn't go out and, get a professional to do it. He just went online, typed in how to create a website and just followed the tutorial. So I remember coming home one day from university and he had a full website done in, like half a website done in one day. And I just remember thinking it was the coolest thing I had ever seen. And he just followed a few videos.
Yeah, that's right. So a lot of the resources are just online. They're very easy to find when you're just starting a business. The government provides all the resources you need. I forget what the website's called. The biz.gov website, I think that's what it's called. It just tells you step by step what you need to do. And I think there's a Queensland government site that pretty much explains everything you need to do to get the business started. So all the resources and stuff you need are just online, YouTube, just websites that pretty much explain it all, which is what I was doing to work out how to do it all. And to what I knew, my knowledge, I knew I needed a website, a phone number, Facebook group, insurance, this and that. So I created the checklist, and as I went, I would tick them off. And one of the funny stories was trying to find insurance, because of course our service is something that we hadn't heard about before, and it was something new, and it was something different, and a lot of the insurance brokers had never heard of such a thing before either. We were calling up insurance companies trying to get insured. And the funny thing was that at this point, we couldn't even explain our own service. So you've probably seen it before, that we have our little slogan, I guess you could say, that just says, we drive you in your car, or maybe book a driver to drive your car. Pretty simple, easy, you understand what's going on, that's it. But back then, we didn't even know how to explain that.
So we would call insurance brokers and we would say, okay, imagine the following scenario. You're at the bar, you're having a few drinks, you drove there, and then you pick up the phone, a driver comes, he hops in your car, then takes you home. We would do that whole scenario.
But what Oscar just said there sounds better than what we were saying. by a long shot. Okay, I think I remember saying, we get from A to B, someone, car, keywords, and they couldn't understand a thing.
Probably say it all backwards.
It was a mess. It was all over the place because we couldn't explain what we were doing. So a lot of them would just be like, no, we don't insure that. And I'm not surprised they said that to us because we couldn't explain what we did. And we just kept trying until eventually we ran into a local broker here in Canberra, and she really helped us out. She was the only one that actually took the time to listen to what we were doing and listen to what we were starting. And the funny thing is that she still takes care of our insurance today, 3 years later on, and she'll probably keep doing it for a while because she just took the time and effort to listen to what we had to say, and she was great. She still is. So big thanks to her and her team.
Awesome. So after getting insurance, I think that was the last thing we needed, okay? So I remember we had everything. And I remember Josh asking, I came home and I asked Josh, so Josh, everything's set. Who's going to drive? And he looked at me and he was like, well, you and me, of course. And here's the funny thing.
Josh didn't have a full license, and I couldn't drive a manual car.